Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. So as you can see by today's title, I am back with another theatre/musical review. Last night I was invited to the opening night of the Calendar Girls musical right here in Birmingham at Birmingham Hippodrome. With the invites I actually get to take along a guest. Usually I take my friend, but when I had the invite for this I knew instantly that I had to take my mum, and I'm so glad I did because my mother hen had the best time ever. So I'm probably just going to start by saying Gary Barlow is a musical genius. So last year I got to go and see the Band musical, which I think is probably still my favourite musical ever, hands down. There's something about the musical and the story that just pulled me in and got my emotions so much. I just loved it. So with this one I was really intrigued to know if it was going to have the same effect, whereas obviously the Band, it's music taken from Take That, so we already knew that I loved the songs, whereas this one, I've obviously seen Calendar Girls the film in the past, but never heard any of the songs before. I know there's a soundtrack, I've been listening to it all day now, but up until yesterday I'd never heard any of their songs. So when I went, I was really intrigued to know, is it going to have the same effect? And it's fair to say that it did. We'll go into a bit more detail in a bit, but the songs are just so beautiful. You can just listen to them on the road and it already tells a story. So then to see it live on stage is just incredible. So the show in a nutshell is based around a women's institute based in Yorkshire, and they want to raise some money for a charity to donate something to a hospice, but they don't want to do the traditional women's institute activities such as jam making, knitting or bake sale. They go down a bit of a risky avenue and decide to do a nude calendar, which isn't really the style of the Women's Institute. However, it worked. For me personally, I much prefer the musical now compared to the film. It's probably because it has the songs in there. So what makes the show? The cast, of course. Each show, obviously when you go and see a musical, there's always like a main character or like two main characters, and the story is usually based around them, whereas the Calendar Girls was definitely based around everyone. Like everyone in the Women's Institute on stage all had just as an important role as each other, and they all got their own song and their own solo to showcase how they're feeling in that moment, share why they're in the Women's Institute and what they want to get from it, and their background story and where they want to go in life. And I felt like that was really cleverly done and really interesting, because I feel that other musicals that you go to see, you have the main characters and then you have all these other characters around, but you don't really get to know them in depth, whereas this musical definitely goes into depth of each and every character, which I really loved, because each person got to shine on stage, but also as a viewer watching the show, you got to dive into that person's character and find out a lot more about them. And usually you go to see a musical and there's like one star that you like, someone you know from TV or theatre, whereas this musical had so many famous faces from TV, from film, from theatre, and it was so like incredible to see so many like familiar faces on stage. Like me and my mum were sat there and like, oh my god, there's so and so, oh my god, is that so and so, oh my god, that's so. And it's like, I can't think of any other musical that I've been to see where I've seen so many familiar people on stage all at once. I love Leslie Davis from back in the Birds of a Feather days, and I got to see her in a pantomime at the Hippodrome about 5 or 6 years ago, I think. So to see her in like a completely different setting was really nice to see. She's super talented. I also like Lisa Maxwell. She played such a funny character, Celia, and I just loved her character and her energy on stage. She definitely had the room laughing a lot. So did all the other characters, but they were definitely the two for me that were like my favourite of the night. I should have asked my mom who were her favourite. Also I need to mention the two young guys in the musical are equally as funny. Like every time they come on stage you just knew you were going to be in fits of laughter by the end of the scene. I don't want to spoil it because of the jokes, but just just wait and see. As I said earlier, the songs themselves are so beautifully written, and they definitely have you laughing, they definitely have you crying, and they definitely tell the story that I feel they wanted to get across. I listened to the soundtrack all day today, going through some of my favourite tracks. Yeah, I just wish I was going to see it again. Overall, the show is such a feel-good, cosy, musical to go and see. I know I'm not from Yorkshire, but having it based in the UK and like being able to connect to that part, you can definitely relate to some of the stories, if not most of them, in your real life. So yeah, take a tissue because you will cry, but you'll also laugh. So take a tissue for crying and laughing. Last but not least, somebody asked me, do they get naked on stage really? Yes, they do. And it was cleverly done. And that whole scene just had me and my mum and the whole audience in hysterics. It was so funny. I'm not going to spoil it because if you're going to see it, you're going to enjoy it. As always, I'll leave a link to the Hippodrome website to go and check it out and book some tickets if you're from Birmingham. I'll also leave a link to the main website so you can go and check it out and see if they're visiting your city. I would highly recommend it. It's such a feel-good musical that I'm sure you will love. Thank you so much to the Birmingham Hippodrome for inviting me. I really do appreciate each and every time I get invited. It really does mean the world. And yes, thank you for watching, guys. I hope you found this useful and helpful, and I will speak to you real soon.